Welcome to another edition of ETF Central. My name is Bilal Little and I'm your host. Today's guest is Armando Pantoja. He has millions of followers on social media, but he is a self-made millionaire. What I love about this particular conversation is he is a financial futurist, which means he believes in all things technology. The reason that I think you're going to like this particular show is because we're going to cover nuclear, we're going to cover AI, we're going to cover crypto, and we're going to talk about how ETFs can play a pivotal role in investors participating in the market. Armando, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for being here.
I'm really glad to be here back at the New York Stock Exchange. I always wanted the mecca for people like me, so I'm always happy.
What is it like when you come down? How does it feel?
I mean, this is the fourth time I've been here, and every time is special, man. Like it's like you come, you see the center just the center of everything, the core of everything that we talk about, everything we've done. This is a real place. These are people here who are changing the economic future of the country, even the world. And it's just a lot of, every time I walk in this building, I get excited. And I just feel very, optimistic about the future.
It's magical.
It's a magical place. And I'm sure you feel it every day.
Every day. And you came in just after Paul Atkins just gave a presentation, so you just missed it.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him.
Yeah. We'll get you back next time for sure.
Yeah.
Look, Armando, it's important for me to allow the guests to unpack their own background. And if you could, in a succinct manner, like just tell everyone a little bit about your particular background and sort of how you've gotten to this point of building one of the largest, I would say, educational financial platforms on the street.
It's because when I was early, I really didn't have a lot of focus in my life when I was a kid. So I went through high school, kind of just went through it or whatever, went through the motions. When I got to college, I took a class, computer science class. It was a prerequisite. I'm sorry, it was you had to take it, right? So I took it, and as soon as I saw him write that code on the board the first day, something like changed in me, and I realized this is what I'm supposed to do, technology. So I went down a path and got my bachelor's, went on to grad school at USF, studied, and I was studying at the time cryptography in 2011.
Wow.
So it just happened to be, that's when crypto. And everybody, all the other grad students talking about cryptocurrency. I was, what is this? Whatever. And I got into cryptocurrency very early, but on the tech side, not the investment side. I started I was one of the first companies in North America to accept Bitcoin as payment because I had a tech company. So we accepted Bitcoin to integrate platforms so they can accept Bitcoin along with credit cards and everything else. And I thought that was how we were going to make the money, is integration, right? I didn't understand the investment side of it. But, in 2013, crypto crashed. I thought it was over, gave up. And I had a little bit of knowledge on blockchain. So I started working for a stock company. And we were trying to predict or apply technical analysis to stock charts, and as the numbers come in or whatever, and try to predict which stocks would do well or not. I learned a lot about markets in those 2 years, a lot. So, and then I started, understand how markets work. I moved on. 2017 came, 2016 came, and crypto started creeping back up. And I said, well, maybe it's coming back. So I saw that early. I have a business partner. I'm still with him. We created a platform called ICO Ranker. ICO Ranker was an AI-powered platform. Even in those days, it was an earlier version of AI that would predict which cryptos that were coming to market would do well. And we ended up being the third biggest company in the world.
Predictive market.
Projecting, I used that knowledge from stocks and also the previous knowledge from blockchain, put it together, and now I had a platform. We ended up getting acquired by a publicly traded company. That made me an instant millionaire. Right?
What year?
2017.
Wow.
So I was all of a sudden, it was before social media and everything. So, and then I'm like, man, what am I going to do now? And when I was in grad school, I was also a teacher. I taught, classes, that's how you pay for grad school. So I love teaching. So I said, well, let me go on social media. And I just started talking. And then first it was a few people, and it was more people. And over those few years up until now, it just snowballed into over 1 million people. So, and it's good for me because that does increase my exposure. So a lot of deal flow comes in. I meet a lot of people I never would have met before. But also it gives me an opportunity to help and teach. I love teaching, right? I'll do it for free. And it gives me an opportunity to do that, and also be able to make some money doing it with speaking engagements or whatever, and also make an impact give an impact into the world. So I'm very blessed to be in this position.
For sure. I have two questions for you. One, what was it like to become an instant millionaire in 2017?
It was a weird thing, man, because all up until that time I'd been struggling.
Yeah.
Right. And so we were making, $200,000 or $300,000 a year just in revenue off of that platform. And it was growing, right? And I was like, well, I'd put the money in the bank and I'd be like, well, we only had it for 6 months running, 6 months.
Wow.
And in the 6th month, we got offered for an acquisition. And I was like, man, they're just talking. They're not going to acquire us. I said, let's keep running business. They're going to back out of the deal or something eventually. Mm-hmm. They had I think it was a 90-day due diligence or a 60-day, I forget which one. I said, man, they're going to come back at the end of the time and like, nah, we're not going to buy it. So we gave them all the information and the 60 days and 90 days went by. And yeah, we're ready to buy. And I was like, they're going to back out. In my mind, I just didn't believe it.
Yeah. And
then the day of the sale, we had a checklist of things we had to pass over to them. We had to sign documents, whatever. At the end of the day, we got, they pay 90% and then 10% is held back. So I'm sorry, they pay 90%, but the 10% goes to the broker.
Okay.
You get 80%, and then it's 10% held back for, I think, another 6 months. And it just makes sure anything happens.
For sure.
And the money in my account, and I was like, I guess I'm a millionaire. And I still didn't believe it. That day, I was a multi-millionaire at that point. And that day I went home. And I walked home, and my wife was like, what happened? I was like, well, I guess they did it. And I went in and watched Futurama that night. It didn't hit me. Yeah, that's still one of my favorite shows.
Wow.
But
that's amazing, man.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I didn't really it didn't hit me for days that it was real, right? And then it like slowly hit me. And then you get kind of like anxious because you're like, what do I do now? All your life you've been trying to be something, and then
financially secure.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So that brings me to my second question. So, you make this money and then you start going online just to kind of talk, and you're just effectively sharing ideas, right? You're sharing ideas from the things that you're reading. What do you think it was for you from 2017 or whenever you started in 18 to build the audience that you do now, that you have today, that they connected to? What was the level of trust or authenticity? What was that thing that they connected to most about you?
When I first started, I didn't even understand that there was other platforms of people out there. I just thought it was just me. You're kind of in a silo. Because I didn't, before at that point, I never was on social media. I thought it was like stupid. Like, I'm not getting on. And so when I got on there, I didn't know that there was other people talking about business or whatever. So I just started talking, right? And I think, I think what it was my authenticity. Like the same way I'm speaking to you now is the same way I speak to my audience, and it's the same way I speak to my family and friends. There is no change. And I was told earlier, before the acquisition and even before social media, I had another company, and I had to do a big speech for this company. So I hired a speech coach, and she was at the time she was one of the best in the country. She just happened to be in my same town. And she was older. She was about to retire. And one thing out of the whole week of training, she told me one thing that stuck with me. She said, audience can tell when you're inauthentic. She said, whatever words you use, you find a way to use the same tone, the same grammar, and the same word usage that you use across everything.
Wow.
And then when you get in front of audiences, they can feel that authenticity. If you go up there and you change your tone, your pitch, or your grammar or word usage, people can sense that. They don't know what they're sensing, but they can sense something's off about this. And then that's the one thing stuck with me, and that's what I carried in social media. So everything else she taught me was, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But that one thing she told me was well worth the money.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Honestly, I think like you have a great sort of American story, right? Like everyone's going to school, you're trying to scrap, you're trying to get by and get to a point where you can, one, create financial security and stability, but then two, you share the game. With the people.
Exactly.
And now that sort of opened up, because you became a giver, it opened up other avenues and opportunities.
And I'm glad you said that. I think a lot of people on social media, they try to make as much as they can. Now I do that opposite, right? As I say, give as much as you can.
Yeah.
I believe, and I write in my book about this, I believe that wealth is a two-way street, right? Is that money flow. I mean, you give out and then eventually it will come back to you. Absolutely. It's not one way where you get all the money. You give as much as you can, and eventually with time, it will flow back to you.
Absolutely. That's the oldest principle in the Bible, isn't it?
So many people don't go. They try to just change that flow to only in, and it doesn't work like that.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. So you just mentioned, you kind of just dropped this. You're writing a book.
Yeah.
Okay, what you writing a book on?
There's 2 books coming out. So I have a publisher, Wiley.
Okay.
Wiley is the biggest academic publisher in the country.
For sure.
So the first book is The Strategic Millionaire. Now I already have another book called The Strategic Millionaire, but this is an updated new version.
Okay.
That book, I was a self-published book a couple of years ago. It did so well, they reached out to me and wanted to update it and redo it and actually launch it through a traditional publisher. So that book's coming out in February. Thank you, February 8th. You can pre-order on Amazon now. And another book that I'm really excited about, and it's more academic than that one. That one's more of a general wealth building, for people. And it's based on futurist ideas and how to, position yourself before trends happen. But it still puts a lot of common sense type wealth building into that book. So it teaches you a mindset, how to look at opportunities, how to, where investing is better than saving, and all these different principles that we know. But the next book is a more academic book. It's The Future of Wealth. So it talks about where wealth is going for the next 50 years and how AI, really 3 principles I talk about a lot in the book. It's called compute, data, and energy. Those 3 things are going to control the next 30 years, and it's nothing else. And those are going to be it. And it talks about principles like if compute, if the market cap of compute gets too big, then the other 2 have to eventually be balanced out.
Absolutely.
And it shows you how to invest along S curves, how the world is going to change. I call it 3 eras. The first era is called the awakening, and that's when AI starts to become aware, or even a simulation of being aware. Either one, it doesn't matter. The second phase is going to be a blowback against AI, where people started, I call that the second renaissance, where people start getting more human. That means there's going to be an explosion of art, athletics, and things like that. And then finally, transhumanism, when people start integrating AI into themselves.
You bring up a lot of interesting points where we're seeing, obviously, big tech control a ton of the market sort of dynamics today more than ever before. Let's kind of transition and take the same sort of concepts that are basically in your book that's scheduled to come, and it's talking about all this connectivity components of technology, data, security, speed, efficiency, all this stuff. How are you bringing common sense right now with all that's going on of the market, making common sense of the market to your audience? What are you telling them right now?
So I tell my audience is that, as of today, I think the market is a little shaky. I don't think the AI bubble is over. I don't think we're close to it being a bubble burst. I think eventually it will be. And that's what I talk about also a lot, is that all technological innovations, transformative technological innovations, end in a bubble. That's predictable. And it's not because the technology is bad or was inefficient. It's because of human greed.
100%.
That's all it is.
100%.
So eventually human greed will push something into a bubble, and it will burst, and it will come back to its true value. That's all that's happening in a bubble. It's not a scam or anything.
For sure.
I think the average retail investor confuses the word bubble with a scam or like it's something wrong there, or the technology didn't function like it. It's not the same thing. And I think that's a big misunderstanding. And I'm also telling my audiences is that you got, quantum computing is on the horizon, to make sure you watch out for that. I think energy is a huge thing that a lot of people are missing out on.
Yeah.
And also another thing I talk about is that when we look at AI and we look at energy, that we misvalue AI completely. We're trying to use old models to try to say where it's going to go. That's why we think a big bubble is going to burst. But AI is literally transforming energy into intelligence. And it's got a middle layer of all the CPUs and all the hardware. And that's just a transformation process, right? Is that these 2 both have to be equal eventually. So energy has to catch up, and we're way behind that. We have to eventually, that's where the biggest investment opportunity I think is. So if you think AI is going to be huge, if you invest in energy, you have to remember they're both the same. So you're more or less invested in AI as well. For sure. If you invest in energy. So I think that's what's a big opportunity on the horizon.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point about like intrinsic value being in like the energy side of like the trade, right? Or the infrastructure side of the AI boom. Like right now, volatility starting to creep back into crypto. We're seeing some cracks in different parts of the market on the debt side. Is your audience right now, like, are they getting real nervous? Like, what are you hearing from them?
Yeah, they always get nervous.
Like, there's a headline every week, right?
Yeah, every week. I mean, like, they're nervous all the time. And it's really like the newer investors. Older investors, they don't, as long as you have a long-term thesis, and you just have an entry and exit plan. I mean, you shouldn't be nervous at all. That's how you take emotions out of the equation. But new investors don't do that. They somebody tell them that, this is a good stock or crypto, so they invest in that. And then every day they have to make a decision. Every day they wake up and look at the ticker. They have to make a decision. Do I sell or buy? Do I sell or buy? And that's decisions over a long period of time. You're going to make a mistake or freak out.
Absolutely.
And that's why I tell people to have an entry, exit, simple. That's what most people say. Entry, exit, and just remove emotions. And whatever happens, you stick to that plan. Unless something dramatic happens to where, but in most cases, you stick to that plan.
Yeah.
So that helps you with that emotion. But people are afraid, especially with the drawdowns in tech, and the crypto's like way down. And I really don't have an explanation for that at all. Like I've been able to confidently predict crypto up into this year. I have no idea what's going on. It should be a lot higher. I don't get, it could be the uncertainty of this administration, or it could be just the ETF inflows could be hurting, or I don't know. And it's a weird situation.
So let's switch the conversation a little bit with that. And I think you bring up some interesting points. All these opportunistic areas that you see in the market, how are you introducing ways to invest for some of these people? Like, is it just the individual positions? Are there ETFs? What are you talking about?
It depends on the investor. Like I usually tell multiple ways that you can get. So I'm more of a thematic investor. So we focus on themes and tech, almost all tech.
Okay.
So I can see, like, for example, we're talking about a certain theme or mega trend that's coming. And one big one is quantum computing. So there's two types of investors that follow me. There's the savvy investor that's been around for a while and know what they're doing. So I will tell them, hey, look at these individual stocks, NVIDIA, whatever. But the other investors who may not even, maybe they could even be savvy, but they just don't have the time to like research whatever. I said, well, you got the ETFs. Yeah. There's a lot of ETFs out there that you can invest in. And that reduces risk. You're diversified across the theme, and also somebody else has done the work for you. So that helps you out a lot when you're investing. Especially if we're early in the trend, that's a lot less risk than individual stocks in that trend.
How do you get people to sort of peel away from the S&P 500 or QQQs to start thinking about some of these thematics? Because I think that's the misconception that people miss, is that the ETF wrapper is so unique. It allows for precision and core thematic exposure if you want it. Like, how are you at least getting them to really see, hey, there are other opportunities outside of the S&P 500?
It's because when you look across, like, let's say I'm go back to quantum computing, that we don't know who the winner is going to be. Like, even me, I don't know. Like, I believe the IonQ will be the leader. But like I said, that's maybe a 60, 70% shot. We still got 30, 40% that it's not going to be. Or maybe, and you got to remember, in technology especially, it could be unknowns that happen that pushes somebody ahead. Like even NVIDIA was a GPU company, not an AI company.
Correct.
So they developed GPUs mostly for gaming. Yeah. That's how they got started. Like nobody would have ever predicted that the world would change around them and GPUs would be chosen to be the processor of AI. Nobody, they didn't predict that early on. And you would have, if we would have went back to the early 2000s, we would have thought that Microsoft or Google would have been number one in AI. We never would have thought NVIDIA, a hardware company. So things happen along that S curve that changes the game, and that's unpredictable. So if you invest across a bunch of stocks in ETF, you have a higher chance of being correct than just individual stocks.
So let's go with your top 2 or 3 themes right now that you're communicating with clients or your audience.
The top today. 2 is energy, nuclear energy specifically. And quantum computing. I think those 2 are going to change the world. I think that nuclear energy is a lot more advanced than it was in the 60s and 70s. It's safer. It produces almost unlimited energy. It's the only way we can get to where we need to be with AI. You remember, we're very early with this stuff, is that one day AI will take up 80-90% of our energy grid, almost all of it, right? And that's why Google just put out news they're going to put data centers in orbit. So they're going to put $1 trillion into that over the next few years because energy is that important. And I think that nuclear energy is the only way that we can. There's a scale called the Kardashev scale, and I'm very. I really like that. Kardashev was a professor a few decades ago, and he came up with a scale. He was like, he really was an astrophysicist, and he wanted to figure out how civilizations, how advanced civilizations were. So we have our civilization, but we don't know any others. So he just theoretically, he said, how could we judge the progression of a civilization? And he thought about all the different ways that you can figure that out. And he said, well, regardless of what civilization is, it could be biology based or chemical based, anything like that. They need to use energy. Every being has to use some type of energy. So he came up with a scale, and he said there's 3 levels of civilization: 1, 2, and 3. 1 is that a civilization is able to use all the energy on their planet and all the energy that hits their planet, solar power. The second is they're able to access 100% of the power of their sun. The third is they're able to access all the stars in their home galaxy, all the energy. So that's a huge. From where we are today, we're at about 70% of the type 1 civilization. That means that we can use most of the energy on the planet, fossil fuels and stuff like that, but we're still a little bit off. We don't get all the sun.
For sure. And
we also don't access fusion and fission, the 2 types of nuclear energy. So we have to go through that phase to get to the second level. So I think nuclear energy is the only way we get there. So that's what the big theme is going to be over the next 10, 20 years, along with quantum computing.
I love that. How are you educating people on something that seems to be like that? Let's take that, for example. I get it. Does grandma or the person who follows you on the weekend, are they getting that?
Yeah, you have to teach it with analogies.
Okay.
Say stuff, you have to speak about how, something in their lives that is happening, and make jokes. People love jokes, scenario stories. I use a lot of that to apply that information. But people love jokes. If you can figure out a way to explain something in a joke, people like that a lot. So,
one of my favorite things that you say on some of your clips, you say, this is huge news to get people literally. I feel like you figured out social media to get the hook. Yeah. And be like, all right, let me pay attention to this right now. This is clearly big news that I need to pay attention to. Like
the hooks are important.
The hooks are important for social. All right, cool. So this is important. So I want to touch on this because this is the hottest thing since sliced bread for most people, crypto ETFs. You talk a lot about crypto. You talk a lot about ETFs. How are you sort of merging the two for people to get exposure?
It's back to the same thing. Is that the thing about cryptocurrency is that there's another layer of risk on that. Like when you buy a stock now, the risk that an unsavvy or a new investor has is they have to first pick the stock, then you have to understand how it moves, then you have to figure out a plan to exit or sell. And that's, that's hard for an average person. Like understand. For a new person, the stuff that we think is common, they're very confused about it. Yeah. But then when you add crypto onto it, you not only have the same problems as stock, entry, exit strategy, when do I sell, when do I buy, you also have the storage and the constant hacking attempts that come along with crypto. So there's so many scammers out there. They will text you and say your Coinbase is under attack, and then they will email you. They figure out ways, and so many people lose their crypto to hackers because of this. So now you have double the problems because now you have to know how to protect the crypto, how to avoid scams, and you have to know the entry, exit, and and how the valuations work. So ETFs is a lot easier for a new person. Just buy the ETF, they let them handle the custody of the crypto. Nobody can steal it from you, and you still make almost 98% of what the appreciation of the crypto
Absolutely.
is.
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? When crypto first came along, most people said, hey, how do I become my own bank and custody my assets? And then you're forgetting passwords and you hear all the horror stories.
Yeah, it's
but
so
the ETF
easy.
wrapper, has made it so convenient.
Exactly.
To get the exposure that you want. So which ones are you most excited about right now? Which projects?
I mean, there's a few projects. I love XRP. I think XRP is going to do great things. Ethereum, I believe, will be the number one crypto eventually. Bitcoin would be second. A lot of Bitcoin maxes get angry when I say that.
Ooh.
But I think Ethereum just, especially with the Genius Act, almost all stable coins are built on Ethereum. So I think the infrastructure will be built on Ethereum eventually. The payment, a lot of these things, DeFi payments, will be built on Ethereum. XRP, I think, has a lot of potential. And there's a few cryptos out. I think AI tokens, I think we're not there yet with AI, but I think that's AI is going to one day produce a lot of personalities. And there will be you won't be able to know if they're conscious or not, but they'll say that they're conscious. So I don't know if you're conscious, but that produces almost an unlimited amount of personalities, both virtual and physical, that now need assets and now need money to spend. And now, so that increases the addressable market of crypto a lot, because crypto is fast, it's convenient. It's going to be the choice that AI models use to spend, receive money, and transact. And I think that the AI tokens are going to do well for that. And there's one that I really like, but it's a dark horse.
All right.
And they came out of the gate really fast early on, but they haven't done anything recently. And it's IOTA. It's way down on the list, but it's one of the only few cryptocurrencies that is quantum safe. Now, people talk about quantum computers breaking Bitcoin, and that's possible, but it's unlikely, but it is possible if they develop a quantum computer fast enough before we have the technology to stop it. But that one's already quantum proof. Quantum computers cannot break that one. You can transact offline without being connected to the internet, and there's zero transaction fees. But like I said, it's been about 4 years, and they haven't done much development. So, but that is one that I really like. It's a dark horse. I wouldn't suggest investing in it for potential profit, but if you like the project, and want to, basically support, that's a good project to look at.
Okay. It's funny. I was taking a course at MIT, and the founder of IOTA, he actually taught one of the courses.
Oh,
so that's where I found that particular project. So I've been following crypto for a while, and I think there's this convergence that's going to happen with AI and crypto. And I want to get your thoughts on this real quick, because it's important. You have so many bots. You have so many people trying to scale all these different types of businesses. Sam Altman launched a project called WorldCoin, and I've been following this particularly because it's built on the Ethereum network. But what's unique about it is you have, this digital asset treasury component of the business coming about for publicly traded companies that are doing Michael Saylor-esque stuff, that are now buying these particular projects as part of their treasury installment. What's unique about this particular project, and this, is this sort of proof of human protocol.
Exactly.
Is going to be like the biggest thing, because we need to identify who are human people.
Project, yeah.
Right? It's a brilliant project that he launched in 2019, actually after he launched OpenAI.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's a brilliant project. And I was actually contracted by WorldCoin because I'm recognized as taking advanced concepts and bringing it to normal audiences. So that for I was on a tour in Miami, LA, and Phoenix, to where, I was, they had audiences there that were interested in WorldCoin. I would explain how it works to regular audiences. I did that for three days for that project. And like I said, it's a brilliant project. I mean, it's like it brings up some interesting questions about how we're going to prove that somebody you talk to online or anybody is a human. You won't be able to tell unless there's some type of proof of humanity. And WorldCoin, what they do is that they scan your retinas, prove that you're human, give you some tokens in exchange for that. And now there's a record that you're human that's immutable. And it's also undeniable. So that's very important, because like you said, when AI does really take over early on, but when it does, when a personality can be created that is 100% equal to human, how many do you think they're going to create? It's going to be hundreds of thousands a day.
Yeah.
They just create one, and then where are they going to go? They're going to go out and do things, or maybe, and you got all these entities that are out there that say that they're human. So you need proof. And they also need assets to spend, and they're going to choose cryptocurrency.
Man, Armando, I got to say, this has been a wonderful conversation, man. Thank you for joining.
It was great, man. I really like it.